You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Daredevil is born again on Disney Plus.
My name is Matthew Murdoch. I'm a lawyer.
Exactly what kind of a lawyer are you?
A really good one.
Critics everywhere agree it's the best Marvel television series. Gritty, intense, and elevated. It's Daredevil at his best.
If you step out of line, I will be there.
Marvel Television's Daredevil, Born Again, now streaming only on Disney Plus.
I think I could say this without reservation or dilution. I mean, this is one of the toughest players in the history of the NBA. Someone who nobody wanted to trifle with, and not just a champion, but one of the best defenders in NBA history. We've talked to him a number of times over the years, and just wasn't afraid to fight on the court, coming from where he came from before professional basketball. Was just an uncommonly tough human being. He now goes by Metta Sandiford-Artest, okay? So it's not Ron Artest, it's not Metta World Peace, it's not the Panda's friend, it is Metta Sandiford-Artest. Welcome, Ron. Metta, excuse me. It's nice to see you again. Can you tell us what precipitated the name change?
Well, I still go by Metta World Peace, but when I got married in my second marriage, I took my wife's last name. So that's where Sandiford came from, and she really loved Artest. As you can see, Artest Foundation, my dad's foundation, I have Artest Management Group. So, I mean, we still really love the Artest name. But like I said, if it wasn't for changing to my wife's last name, which I thought was really cool, I would have still been World Peace, but I just still go by World Peace as much as I can.
Can you tell us here what has you excited? I've been fascinated to watch your growth over the years. And late, when you became a champion, you were very comfortable on the court saying thank you to my therapist, because you were tackling mental health stuff before it was popular. You were doing vulnerability publicly before it was popular. So what has you excited these days as you've blossomed here in adulthood post-retirement?
Man, thanks a lot for recognizing that. All sports teams have, a lot of sports teams have therapists now. That started from 2010 when I think my psychologist on national television. I'm currently on the board of UCLA Psychiatric Ward, and I'm also serving on the board of a couple other institutions. So I'm really excited about that. I'm also about to launch a mental health curriculum with my healthcare company that I have. It's called EasyCareLink.com. It's a nursing company that I'm the chair of the board. And we have a telehealth mental health app that we're launching. And we're going to have curriculum attached to that with Artest University, my foundation. So I'm super excited. The growth that I had since I retired. The first day of retirement was tough. Honestly, I was stressed. I didn't think I had any skills, and I was insecure. But I quickly realized that I was an architect major, and if I could apply architecture to building a business, that I think things would be okay. And I figured that it took me 11 years to make it to the NBA from the age of 8 to the age of 19. So I said, you know what? I'll just put in another 11 years of work, and at some point I'll be able to operate and administrate a firm, in which I'm doing now. And we're here. We're 9 years in, roughly. So we got 40 companies in the portfolio, 12 we control. But it was rough the first couple of years. It was a lot of stress as a retired athlete.
Well, we can talk about that in a second, but I'm curious where the lights went off for you in terms of introspection, right? Because nobody's ready to get to the league. Nobody is ready at a young age to get to the league. But when did lights start going off for you on, no, I kind of need to explore some things here in my patterns, in my upbringings, in the way that I, handle issues? Where did lights come on for you?
I would say when I was missing out on awards. Because you got to think about it, I was the youngest defensive player of the year, right? As a guard, right? And when you think about how people were talking about me being on the cover with Larry Bird, shout out to Larry Bird, great guy. When you think about what I was doing at 23 years old, you were talking about jersey retirement at Indiana. It was only one direction to go. But when you miss out on an all-star game because you're suspended, then miss out on another all-star game because you're suspended, then you miss out on more all-team NBAs, and you miss out on even having an opportunity to get another Defensive Player of the Year. Arguably, I love Ben Wallace. This is not anything of Ben Wallace, but you can make an argument that if I was there in 2005 before I got suspended, and if I didn't request a trade the next year, you can argue that I would have been in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. Even when I got to Sacramento in a half a season, I made first team all defense. So from that perspective, not taking advantage of the opportunity and taking things for granted. And that takes time to, because you can soak in it. But I said, you know what? I'll just like embrace it. I'll take it, hold myself accountable for it, my actions, and just go forward. So I think 2007 through 2009, I started to try my best to turn the corner.
We have talked to you about some of this stuff, right? Some of the famous stories where applied for work at Circuit City, I think it was. You've told us the story, I think, of running out at halftime of a Bulls game to go get liquor, right? Do I have that right? Or am I remembering some details wrong about having to go out at halftime? You were so young.
The building?
Do I have this wrong? I don't want to get it wrong.
I actually appreciate you asking me if you have it wrong. I think like the halftime, no, but I was indulging quite often in alcohol. I'm not going to brand the company I was drinking, but I was indulging a lot. I did have a moment. I did have a really destructive and detrimental moment. I was young, but I even had young guys like Jamar Crawford on my team, so I wasn't the role model quite then. But yeah, I had some moments where I was taking my emotions out and sabotaging my own career.
I'm curious because the stories that Dan brought up, and obviously it was a different time in NBA history, but at that time, the thing I kept thinking of was who's around you, like as far as not people working for the team, but who was around you that was supposed to be looking out for you? Because the Circuit City thing is a great example. And correct me if I'm wrong, you did it because you wanted the employee discount to buy CDs. But if you had someone around you, should have been like, no, man, just do like a signing, and they would have given you all the CDs for free. You wouldn't even have to work more than an hour or so, or you probably could have even got paid on that. So I always think about, was he by himself? Did you have people around you?
So like right before I was going to college, my brother went to jail for 10 years for drug trafficking, right? So moved drugs on the Greyhound bus. So they gave him 10 years flat. So when he went away at 17 years old, that was going to be my guy who I go into college and go into the NBA with. He has a logistics company now. He's really smart. He did 10 years, and that was 18 years ago. He got out of prison. But so, at that point in time, I only trust people I know. Mm-hmm. So, I started to just be around different people that I know, because, you also navigate the street life, right? You also got to navigate who you're around. So, for me, the Circuit City situation was I just because time can get you in a lot of trouble, right? When you have time. So I also just needed to spend my time doing something positive, because once I got to Chicago, I went straight to the hoods. I would leave practice and go straight to Robert Taylor or Cabrini Green or 79th and Halsted or something like that, because I always needed to be around the streets, because where I'm from, I only felt comfortable in the streets. So it took me quite some time to understand that. But I also realized that I wanted to be around the streets because I also enjoy giving back. I was never the type of guy to stunt in the streets, like wear jewelry or do things like that. So I was always kind of well respected in the streets. But, from that perspective, I didn't want to be around anybody. I didn't want to be, so I only wanted to be around people that didn't understand this new lifestyle. So it was a conflict, not really a conflict of interest. It was really a conflict in what I'm dreaming for. I wasn't on the same page with myself.
Well, explain that part to us, though, because that's an interesting kind of loneliness. You arrive at all of your dreams, ostensibly, but those people don't necessarily understand you. The business of it is foreign, and you feel lonely enough that you want to go back to something that feels like your neighborhood.
100%. Like, even after practice in Chicago on a Friday, I would drive to New York just to touch 12th Street, Mobb Deep Block, where I was raised. Just to touch it and drive back 36 hours later. Sometimes drive back 18 hours later. And it's just where you feel, Havoc got that famous bar, no matter how much loot I get, I'm staying in the projects. That was really me. You know what I'm saying? But now I got a different perspective because I can communicate. I no longer have to use only my emotions to communicate. You know, I can use my words. So now that I can do that, you know, I can still be inspirational and I can do things. I can still have that type of those characteristics, but I can be more inspiring and build stuff where I couldn't communicate that at 19 years old.
I will leave this alone after this because I do want to accent. This man has been excellent for a long time, tough for a long time, and has had a career that has a lot of difficult things accomplished in it. But the story that we've talked around sometimes, but I don't think we've actually gotten to the bottom of, that I don't know what part of it is true either, is how it is you ended up before a Game 7 on a corporate bus with salespeople.
I'm really happy about you telling that story, actually. I never said it. You said it. I never brought it up because I don't like to tell things.
Okay, and if I've got it wrong, forgive me. And I must say on the front end of this, I really admire this man's career and his growth. So I'm not just rummaging around in the salacious stories.
It's a good. I'm glad you brought that up because I can't believe that's even brought up. I never said it, and it's not even. You should not even know that. So I don't like to talk about things for clicks, but I'm really happy you mentioned that because, you know, you should not even have known that. And I'll just tell you the story. I was getting a haircut, but I had a great haircut Game 7. I came down to get on the bus that typically nobody would be on. You know, I didn't really see anybody on these buses with the exception of the team. So when I came down with my suit in hand and some really thin shorts with pockets, I wore them on Jimmy Kimmel just to show that they were shorts. The story said I came out in my underwears. Like, why would that? Why is that? And I had no shirt on. Who cares? I'm getting dressed on the bus. I got off the bus in a suit, or an outfit. I don't know what I had on. I had like it might have been like a college shirt or something. You know, because I didn't want to be late for the bus. You know, and I'm going to a game, and I was getting a haircut. My haircut was really nice for Game 7. So, you know, and I played very well. You know, and
hell yeah,
you know,
yeah, you did.
So, you know, and so that story for somebody to use that, and I don't even want to get into it because now I know why that story was put out there. Now you should not have known this story. Now I got to talk about something that I'm not happy about, which I still didn't say. I just like to leave things alone because I'm tough. I can get through anything. I don't need much from anybody. So it's disappointing. And whoever said this, they should talk about it. Who mentioned that? Because I just went on the bus and went to the back seat.
So I never heard this story before. So thank you, Dan, for bringing it to my attention. But just to explain,
I would prefer nobody. You know, I'm never going to talk about it unless whoever brought it up, they can talk about it. But it's just an excuse.
Thank you, Dan, for bringing it up.
To explain it to the audience, when an NBA team is on the road, there's typically, especially for a playoff game, there's an early bus, and then there's a late bus, and then there's another bus. And sometimes what they'll do is they will have like people work for the team, especially if it's in the playoffs. Hey, we're making a trip out of it. Bring clients or whatever. So typically that bus that you're taking is empty.
It's my bus.
It's your bus. It is the bus for players and team. But then the team will be like, well, if we can bring this sponsor here, they would really think it was cool or whatever. So
yeah, it's our bus. I had no shirt on. Who cares?
Yeah. So
I was getting dressed on the bus.
And the whole idea is that the dress code kicks in when you step off that bus. So when you get to the arena, that's when the dress code kicks in. So you getting on the bus in any shape, form, or fashion didn't matter.
I feel like we're 5 minutes too deep into this.
When I heard that story come out, it made no sense. I literally just laughed. And I said, I'm never going to address it because I'm not in a position to win.
Let's talk about something else.
Speaking of position to win, you won Game 7 for Kobe when he was 6 for 19. You won Game 7, became a champion for Kobe Bryant forever. You carried him in that game.
Actually, that was the next year. Should have been done in Houston, but I think, you know, that year was incredible. I told myself in January, because you got to think about it. I was averaging 22 or 25 in the playoffs against the Lakers. We were the only team to take them to 7. Everybody else was 5, right? So I was still. You don't get worse from May till September. I was really good still, but when you're playing with Kobe, we know who he is, and we know who Pau Gasol is, and we know who Derek Fisher is. Now it was hard to find a role. And then I was really stressed in the beginning. Then in January, I decided to be the best role player that I could be. And then when you look at that, and when you look at the rest of that season, I actually was a really good role player, and that was really tough. And then in game 5, Phil Jackson just briefly came to me in the locker room and said, "I need you to score." And I was like, thank you. I can't wait to hear those words. And then in game 6, I had 18, and game 7, I had 20. But this is not nothing new. I was always getting 20, in the game.
So one of the coolest things ever was you guys win game 7, and then instantly, Dan brought up you thank your therapist, but my memory is you dropped a track, Champions. And so I was like, how did he record it? And then I found out you recorded it before the season even started. That's a ballsy move. I recorded that June 30th in 2009. So you hadn't even signed with the Lakers yet? No, because I thought I was going back to Houston, and we had a great team. When you look at that Houston Rocket team, Yao broke his foot game 3, and I love the Lakers, but Yao Ming broke his foot game 3 in the first quarter. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, we're winning the title this year. I need a title. I actually need a title because I feel like I'm the best ever, even though I'm not. But I personally feel like I'm the best ever, right? But so I did that record just to give me a little motivation, and then wow, we win it. Literally a year later, we win it, and the track just dropped.
I got it wrong. It was 6 for 24 that Kobe was in that game 7, not for 6 for 19. And as I recall, and you spent the next week of your life basically wandering around the streets of Los Angeles, allowing people to touch you.
Yeah, for 7 days I was in New Jersey. I was in the same thing. Because when you look at my career, I was playing early on. I was playing really well, right? We was the best team in the league, even and then 50-50 was me, 50-50 was the fan. But I kind of put a halt to that. So in my mind, I'm like, the basketball gods is never gonna forgive me and give me a chance to win it. And then you win it. And it's like, wow, you just soak it all in. And I wish I probably didn't soak it in because I was really happy with that one title. I was just so happy I got one, honestly.
But take us through the streets, though. What do you remember the details of that next week where you're not taking the Game 7 jersey off for a week?
Well, okay, so I kept my boxes on. I'm actually maybe a little less than a week. So I kept my boxes on. I went out that night, went to dinner, went to the club, got up with. I was recording Champions Part 2 with Dr. Dre at 3 a.m. that night. So I'm recording Champions Part 2. It's in his system. I was really tired. Chris Brown comes into the studio and he said, "Yo, let me get that jersey." And I'm like, wow. I was so honored that Chris Brown asked. So I gave that jersey to Chris Brown. So he got that jersey. And I kept everything else. And I was in Dr. Dre's studio recording Champions Part 2, with a stogie.
Anything else from the rest of the week that stands out? Because that had to feel like one of the happiest weeks of your life.
In L.A., walking around in L.A. as a Laker champion. And the Game 7, it was you.
It was you. You're bailing out
There's
Kobe.
got to be. Look, I don't know what the rest of the summer was like, but I know those 2 weeks must have been crazy everywhere you went.
Yeah. I performed with T-Pain. T-Pain did a remix to Champions, which we never put out. I should have did an album, so I performed the remix to Champions with T-Pain. He killed the hook. And then I was just partying for the rest of the time. If I could do it over, honestly, I would have just went home with my family, honestly. If I could do it over, I would have done that. Because like those moments, I'm so happy, I'm excited, but then you forget that your family is also excited. And those moments you should get out with your family. Then the next 2 weeks you go party. So I would advise people spend the first moments with your family. Then you go on your 2 week, binge.
Rick Fox and Derek Fisher both told us stories about Kobe as a teammate purposely challenging them, purposely looking for confrontation. I don't imagine a whole lot of people are doing that with you. Or should do that with you? Did Kobe do any of that with you? Challenge you?
Our first practice, I know I was excited about my first practice with Kobe because even I'm on record saying like, I love to compete in practice. And even when I practiced against Reggie Miller, and I just couldn't wait to get in practice. Even though Reggie was a little older, so I wasn't trying to do too much because he was a little older, but I was like going hard. He's a legend. And out of respect, you want to go hard. So when I got with Kobe, I just couldn't wait for that first practice. And I remember the first drill, I can't remember exactly, but the first drill, we were on opposite sides and I was trying to go at his head and he went right back at me. And, I think I got his respect. I respected him more. And not even respect, I always respect him, but I just understood him more. Like, this guy is the real deal. The way he can take the pressure and the physicality that I'm bringing to practice. So the first week of training camp, that was the most exciting time for me because I got a chance to really compete. But then after that, me and Kobe were starters. So we stayed on the same team every drill, every game. We never competed after that.
Metta, I love you talk about intensity because you just reminded me of a quote that I don't think anyone has remembered in history, which was before you were an All-Star for the first time, you said, they can't let me in the All-Star game because I'll go out there and get a flagrant foul. And, and you said that. You weren't actually going to do it, but you were saying, like, basically, I would bring NBA game
I was
intensity.
coming to bring it.
You were bringing it, right, exactly. And then when you were an All-Star, you did bring it. You played hard. And so as you watch the All-Star game now and see how guys are decidedly playing less than hard, what goes through your mind?
Well, I had somebody tell me a long time ago, actually at the end of my career, they told me I was a practice player. So I'm like, and I was still playing well my last year. Keep in mind that in practice, I won most of the game. Luke Walton documented it. Okay. It was, he put it in with marker. And at the end of that season, I was number one in practice. And I had somebody tell me that, man, you only bring it in practice. And I said, well, for one, I'm the only defensive player of the year on this team, and all-star champion. And I said, also, I always work hard in practice. Not because I'm trying to play and impress Luke Walton. I'll take Luke Walton to work. Luke Walton can't guard me. I'm not trying to impress Luke. Practice, like what I would used to do even in my prime, I look at the 13th man on the roster, the 15th man, and I got to work harder than him and destroy him in practice. And the same thing everywhere I play. I don't know how to play no other way. I'm double teaming and open runs. You kidding me? So yeah, it's a different mindset. It's okay. That's how I personally feel, me, and I'm never going to change how I feel about that. I know it's a different age, but that's just not me.
Metta's Lakers take on the Celtics in Boston Saturday night on ABC. Let's play for Metta the sound of LeBron James saying, "You guys don't want to be me. You guys don't want to be the face of the league."
It's unfortunate, but I don't know why do you want to be the face of the league when all the people that that cover our game and talk about our game on a day-to-day basis on everybody. I mean, that responsibility, it's just weird. It's weird energy from the people that, I don't know. But Channing, he said it. He said it perfectly. Couldn't have said it no better. But Ant said he don't want it. Obviously I didn't ask for it. But I knew there was a responsibility for me, not only to my family, my friends, my community, and whoever that was going to follow my journey throughout my career. Not only in Ohio when I started there, but all over America and all over the world when I traveled all over the world. So I've always taken that seriously and understood from the beginning what being a professional was all about and being a role model was all about. So try to hold that with the utmost respect and honor. And but I feel I understand. I completely understand. This is weird energy when it comes to that. So,
what are your thoughts there, Metta?
I think it's interesting. When LeBron first came in as a 17-year-old, he had 25 points against me his first game against me. And he was missing some big shots. And I mean, you can't expect a 17-year-old to come in and knock down big shots. But LeBron could always shoot. I don't know. I mean, LeBron he's the best shooter in the history of the game. He got 50,000 points. And look how he's ending his career. If you don't show his misses early, you'll think he was the greatest shooter ever. And he's a family man. He might not be perfect. He's political. He's definitely a little political on that side. But who's not? and I think in terms of his family acumen, I think that's really impressive. We don't talk about that enough. So I think in the same breath, sometimes you got to acknowledge that. LeBron and Stephen Curry actually inspired me, to just do things the right way. At the end of my career, I was watching these guys just getting inspired by high-level athletes as a retired athlete, and I don't think he's perfect, but yeah, I think he does. There's a lot, but that's what comes with it. And you know what? You should want it, because if you're the face, that means you're going to be a billionaire. So who cares?
Yeah. Metta, one thing that I don't think took off, and you were kind of the face behind it, whatever happened to the 3-pronged headband? I'm going to see if we can pull it up on screen here. Why did this not take off in the NBA? What happened here?
Let's talk about it.
Because that's a legendary look on East Bay.
Let's talk about it. Hey, man, I don't even know why, a manager would bring this to me. Actually, no disrespect to the manager I had. He's just doing their best and trying to. But this is something that, this is a reason why I'm real, picky on companies I work with. Because, that should never have been on my head.
Metta, thank you. His Lakers take on the Celtics in Boston Saturday night on ABC. I didn't want to wrap you up. I want to talk to you for another hour, but they're taking you away. They say you got to go. Thank you. Please, we hope to talk to you again. Always enjoy talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, I know I got to do this ad read, but hold on. Let me reapply. Did you hear that? Yep, that's my new favorite lip gloss from NYX Cosmetics. Now I'm ready to talk to you. I've been a huge fan of NYX Cosmetics for many years now. In fact, I use their Thick It, Stick It brow gel every single day. So you can imagine my excitement when we recently received a special delivery to the Batard studios from our friends over at NYX Cosmetics. And there it was. When I opened the box, glowing, I heard the angels sing, "Ah." It's their latest lip gloss fat oil lip drip. It's NYX Cosmetics' first lip oil of its kind. This creamy lip oil will have your lips dripping with fat perks. You get all the shine of a lip gloss and none of the stickiness while experiencing 12-hour hydration. I'm usually a matte lip gloss kind of gal. My normal go-to is NYX Cosmetics lip gloss, the Lingerie XXL. But after applying the status update shade, I have found my new go-to lip gloss. Fat Oil Lip Drip has high shine finish with comfortable wear and none of the sticky texture. A lip product that's hydrating, non-sticky, and only $9? Now that's a win. Try Fat Oil Lip Drip from NYX Professional Makeup. Available in 14 universally flattering shades. Find your perfect Fat Oil Lip Drip. Shop now at nyxcosmetics.com or a retailer near you.